Hi there. We have just come out of the Dries Van Noten Autumn/Winter 19 menswear show. Was very late. Everyone coming in dribs and drabs, had to go through security to get to the space. But let's cut straight to the fashion. So I was ever so slightly disappointed this season. I keep thinking of 2 seasons ago, not last season, the season before, where he had beautiful, trippy, marbling prints on coats, and there was just dramatic spanning around the space, and it was just really beautiful. And one of the things that is so wonderful about Dries is that he feels really unique. It feels really unique to him, and he often plays with shape and colour and print in a way that everything flying everywhere in the car, in a way that only he can, and you instantly recognise it and say, oh gosh, that's so Dries, or that shape, that print. And I feel like this collection, that was really lacking, and it felt a lot akin to some other shows that we've seen. The first few looks were very monochromatic. The first look actually was a white shirt with a black tie. Beautiful trousers, beautiful cut, but for a long period it was belted puffers, puffered scarves that you could put your arm through, leathered fanny packs belting around the waist, trench coats, Macintoshes, all in slightly monochromatic print. We did have some tie-dye and also some engineered prints that were supposed to blend in with the tie-dye, so there was some prints that almost looked organic, a bit if you pipetted bacteria, that sort of thing, but they were choreographed so that they mirrored, and those were beautiful. And there were some really lovely sheens on jackets, and a sort of, I want to say, crimping almost on the sheeny jackets that really looked lovely. Those were in rich Albany tones, but overall I felt a little bit deflated, it felt much too commercial for Dries, and their magic had slightly gone. Normally we get a nice video of Dries talking about his inspirations and the collection, and this season that was a miss too. Just a press release. Press release was very informative, but again you lose that personality, that passion that you have with Dries, and all the energy and the wonder that goes into the making of prints and such. So I felt a little deflated just with the cuts and the styling, and puffer jackets, trenches, Macintoshes, monochrome, and that style of scarf we've seen before, and perhaps a little while ago. I don't know, what do you think, Cal?
Well, I think it's an odd time for fashion. I think, realistically, fashion in some areas is booming, however in others is really dwindling, like we see in all the stores, or the wholesalers are having real trouble, but all as a generalisation. And we've also just seen with Calvin Raf leaving Calvin, that actually you can speak to the fashion pack and ask as much as you want, and we want Dries to be his most ultimate, amazing, colourful self, but if that doesn't relate to a wider audience, then that's a problem. And we see lots of the general public buying into beige, especially kind of with what Ricardo's doing at Burberry, and some of the smaller details in the show. There was a cardigan that was tailored and had a shoulder pad in it, actually looked like really lovely kind of workwear, as someone to go to the office in, but some their WeWork space, something, their Soho House moving office. It was felt very formal. And then the soundtrack was lots of interviews of great artists such as Warhol.
Or is that full?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
They're great creatives who were also had their heads screwed on, they weren't talking to kind of artists who were totally all over the place. They're talking about their craft and what they do. And I do completely agree with your view of the show. However, I thought it was actually, I understand why this might have been the time to kind of take note and actually make clothes that will get to the end consumer. Because those coats you were speaking about, the marbled ones from 2 seasons ago, were being worn by everyone today. Everyone has them. So that's great, but if the 600 people who travel around the world to review fashion are the only people wearing your clothes, you can't sustain a business.
No.
And maybe this time isn't the best time for colour, so he's actually going back and looking at the tailoring, which he is great for. He's not known for, but he has his own signature. Lots of collarless details, just a bit more relaxed, looking at very, like the puffer, all of these kind of menswear staples, and just making them a bit more romantic. So I zoomed in on that and liked the collection through that lens, but I do understand what you mean about...
My feeling is that if you looked at some of these clothes in a lineup or you went to a showroom and I hid the designer's name from you, you wouldn't know that I was Dries.
No, I do.
And we had tie-dye this morning at Issy, so
yes,
it was a bit... I just felt a bit lost, and I was like, where's that Dries connection?
Tie-dye, LV and Rick, so 4 tie-dye shows.
It's a tie-dye moment today. Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's because the company was bought 2 seasons ago,
yeah, of
that
course.
it's taking a slight commercial turn as well as what you're saying, because you're quite right. But I wonder, and it was starting to creep through last season with a slightly more simpler trim and slightly... last season, however, rainbow colours explosion, but it was the style of clothes were much more approachable, much more commercial, and now I feel like he's gone completely the other way. So we're rid of the bright colours as well. Now
yeah.
Like everything's done a 180. So I'm a little disheartened, but there were some really lovely pieces, and it was beautiful fashion. You can't deny that. It was just not what I expected from Dries, and perhaps a little disappointing. So my
There's
first
always next season.
My first negative review. I feel awful. This is the way it goes. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. Oh, we got one more actually.
Got that one.
We got that one.